Hello and welcome to another week of Riled Up. I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew, a player.
And I'm a collector, and we're here to give you two perspectives on all things flesh and blood. It's been a big news week. What's got you all riled up this week, Andrew?
Well, this week I'm all riled up about the 5th anniversary stream, the dumpster dive, and the tier list that we started last week and got interrupted, but we're going to finish it up this week. How are you doing today, Dan?
Oh, good. I finally finished watching the 4-hour stream. Oh, I skipped around a little bit. I cheated, but it was pretty exciting. I've had a busy week because of that stream, actually. A lot of big announcements came out of it. What were your thoughts from it initially?
Honestly, the only thing that really stands out to me, well, it's got to be two things. Jarl, and, maybe we're going to do the high octane ban.
Oh, you think the high octane?
Well, they definitely called it out, like, we're thinking about it, and I just think it makes total sense because everybody is really also riled up about the new Dash IO deck, which with high octane is quite strong already.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to see some results because so far, I mean, you're not seeing a lot of mechs on the list for like Pro Tour Week 2. I mean,
the deck just came out today, so it's been a lot of people on Talishar talking about like it's good.
I think there's a lot of decks that look good. I don't know. I'm waiting to see what actually comes of it. I think obviously Jarl is like the big news, but I think there's a bunch of other little things that really excited me about it. And they talked about bringing on their writer full time, like head of the narrative team, and working on Lore Book 2, which is very exciting. Because I don't know. I hope they do a reprint of one of some sort, because I don't know about you, but I don't have $4,000 laying around to buy just a book. So
I think they could give us a paperback of that. You know, it's a hardcover book. I think they could print it in paperback and not really destroy anybody's collectability there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard to do second editions of a book without it. I mean, just how rare the first one is. Wasn't there originally a PDF of the book floating around somewhere?
Oh yeah, for sure. I still have it. It's
just, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to look at it, so sue me.
Yeah, I do. I would love to see like. Oh, okay. No, I want like a good big book. I don't know, kind of like. You know how like DC had those absolute series of books where they're super huge, they're like this big, and they had like the super thick, nice paper for like true classic like graphic novels. I would love a good art book or and lore book for all of Flesh and Blood.
It would be nice. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next book. He was a little. He didn't want to say anytime soon, so maybe we won't get it for a few years, but I just need some more. This game's good. James White was very specifically talking about, how strong the game can be because they own their own IP, and it's already so cool with the little amount of storytelling that a good book could really blow the doors off for me.
I think one of the things that they kept bringing up, and I think it's a red herring, but they kept bringing up the continuation of the Monarch story. They're like, well, the fans keep thinking Monarch was first. The fans keep thinking Monarch, like when's the next part of that story arc? Because, for those not as familiar with Flesh and Blood, right, like there's multiple huge story arcs going on, and each set tells like the next progression of that story. And people have been waiting for that Monarch second. I mean, Monarch's was out like 2.5 years ago, so people are ready for that next one, but they just kept bringing up Monarch throughout that stream, and I'm like, I think it's red herring. I don't think it's the next set. I think maybe that's what they're
Well, they definitely
dangling, but
they said that we wouldn't go back to Monarch until 2026. That was, I mean, that's what they said in the stream. So, hopefully we get Uprising or something next.
I didn't remember. Did he actually say 2026 in that?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. It might have been.
Oh.
Yeah, because I don't think we're getting it this year or this coming year.
I thought he was saying that they couldn't give any information because it would be a spoiler. So I didn't know. Maybe I'll have to rewatch it. Like I said, I rushed through it. I mean, I skipped through. I only just went to like James Waite interview. I didn't really care about the games. Like, I mean, the trivia was kind of cool, but I mean, I think most of us probably knew all of that trivia. And then,
oh no way,
really?
Some of those were pretty hard.
Some of them were hard. Like the armory event numbers were way more impressive than I would have ever guessed. I would say.
Yeah, was it 162,000?
Something like that. Yeah, crazy number of events. So that was really cool. The other thing, I think when I opened my first case of Rosetta on stream, one of the things I picked out was how much musical reference was through it. Like Hit the High Notes, like all those music themes. There's like the cello player, or I don't know if it was cello. I think it was a cello or violin with the person's throat. It was like, it seems very music heavy, and I was wondering if maybe that wasn't going to imply into like a movie, or not movie, a music based hero, which would be really cool. Kind of like maybe a bard. But I think James was talking quite a bit about how much of like a side hobby like music is for him and his family, and I'm wondering now, I'm like, oh, I think he's probably leeching that his other personal passions into it a bit, and maybe we're starting to see that with a lot of these music cards. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I love the music cards, especially, the art on, is it Hit the High Notes, where it looks like it's somebody's vocal cords, like the head is on a violin or something like that?
No, I can't remember which one that is. Hit the High Notes is the lady I could have swore was on another card. Definitely isn't. But she looks like Evelyn from He-Man, actually, with like the big spiny purple hat, but it's like the ghoul or the ghost notes, like with the screaming notes coming out of her. Yeah, it looks really cool in foil. Actually, I really like the foiling on that one. But yeah, no. So there was a lot of really cool little tidbits. I guess I expected more big news, but I think that they're really just holding it all in for Osaka when they're releasing.
To be fair, I think that part of what's coming with Jarl is like huge news. Like, number one, I didn't really expect another ice hero, and I thought it was pretty interesting that last week we talked about how many ice cards sold, and we won't comment any further on that, but it's a little bit weird whenever you see like that uptick in ice sales. Just like, wow, I wonder is there like some groupthink going on where everybody just sort of gets the vibe of like, oh, maybe ice is coming, or is there maybe some rumors getting out and about, But the Jarl deck is going to be the first printed legendary right into a deck.
Yeah, and we're paying for it pretty heavily. And what is it, like $60-$70 a deck?
Yeah, it's definitely, they upped the price, but it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, we're all paying for cardboard anyway. If they're gonna put a legendary in it, it's gotta have some extra value just for the sake of being a good deck. We kind of want it to fly off the shelves. We want it to be something that people want to play. So hopefully that's what happens. As much as some people seem to hate ice, it's gonna slow things down for sure. And I cannot wait to see what the legend is, because everybody right now is like, well, it's probably not gonna be, nobody really knows. And I'm curious to see how far they're going to go in a printed product that is just like, here, you get this card. This is just a card that you can buy guaranteed. How strong is that going to be?
Yeah, and I'm actually really interested in, because we talk about there's ways to introduce heroes without releasing full sets, right? And the armory decks are an amazing way to do that. Promos are equally as good. I would really love now to see, not just because I'm stockpiling ice lightning fusion cards, but because where's the Lexi replacement? I want an ice lightning ranger popping up. I think that completes that whole Aria circle, and then we can fully move on to the next set. Which,
to be honest with you, whenever they printed Jarl with the ice and earth type, and then I thought about, like, well, they also just printed that card that only Briar can play, and I think we might get an earth and lightning Runeblade before we get a lightning ice ranger, but we'll see.
There's too many Runeblades right
Never
now.
too many Runeblades.
You know what I was looking, our poor girl Reverence, she was doing interesting things, lots of cool decks, fostering some bans right out the gate. Pro Tour week 2, she's got two showings. She's way down at the bottom, but like three of the top 4 were all Runeblades, and I'm like, they can't do another set with Runeblades. Like, even Vincent was having a better showing. Like, they can't keep pumping Runeblades, not in this economy.
That's actually an interesting point. There's 3 Vincent wins and only 2 Verdants. That's actually surprising. I didn't catch that whenever I looked at it at first. I'm more staring at that Enigma because I still really that Mirror Guy card is so good. But yeah.
Yeah, so
I prefer to ignore all those Runeblades because I'm a Runeblade man.
Right. But, that's why I'm thinking, like, so when it comes, like, Runeblades have just had a very good presence. I just don't think the next set can have a Runeblade at this rate. But
I don't think it will.
We're talking about watching the sales data. And so what one of the cards we were talking about earlier today, I didn't want to keep diving into it because the two of us could just talk about Flesh and Blood for hours, and then what are we going to talk about tonight? But the cards that I'm seeing movement on are dust. Lots of dust. Odd. Like last week, several dust cards had 75, 80 cards plus selling of each of them. Card Trader, I can't tell past sales data on, completely wiped out. I think we're probably on the verge of Dramai coming back. If not Dramai, another Ash artist of some sort.
I think so as well. I really do.
Yeah,
it's as soon as we've got an ice hero, they're gonna want some heroes that can play Thaw. I think, even though Thaw was never really used that much, I think they like to think that is a good back and forth, and maybe it'll work out that way, and maybe we'll get more Icelander.
That was actually what I was going to bring when I asked you this, or I think I told you this morning. I'm like, I have something I want to talk about why I think Dramai's really going to be next Thaws. And it's not just because I have a stack of 15 Thaws I just opened up. It was, I was going through it. I'm like, Draconic, wiping out Frostbites. They just did Jarl. Frostbite's back on the table. The dust are disappearing. It, like I said, sometimes that news just gets out. Some people get, distributor news and all that stuff gets out ahead of time. And I think that's why dust is being picked up. And you did the maths earlier, all right? There's 3 dusts left for 3 of the existing dragons. And I think you made the comment that those 3 are really, or they complement each other, right? Like,
So the ones that are left that don't have dust are Kyloria, Asvali, and Yenderai. And in my estimation, if I'm looking at all the dragons and the things that they can do, those 3 dragons are all really fair. Like, they're not geared like giving every turn like Uvia, which, whether or not that's good in constructed, Uvia I think is probably a pretty decent bomb in limited because of that dragon generation. But these 3 that are left are Kyloria, which draws you a card when it hits, because you're probably not going to steal an item, and that only comes in for 4. We've got Yenderai that comes in for 3 and has the endurance counter, so he basically gets hit twice. He's a little bit tankier. That's pretty fair. And we've got Asvali that comes in for 2 physical damage and does 2 arcane pings, which is just some split aggro damage that's free because he's a 0-cost dragon. And in my estimation, if we've got 3 dust left to print, and those 3 dragons are very fair in my estimation for like a sealed format, I wouldn't be surprised that we get the next set, or one of the upcoming sets soon, a new Dromai that has an ability closer to something like what the new Prism has. Something that's going to interact with the ashes, maybe give you some kind of search off the ash. And that way they'll reprint those 3 dragons that don't have ash yet, and that will be like the main dragons that the new Dromai will use. That's my tin foil about that.
Yeah, so I feel like I kind of have to go back and open up a case of like all the old, like, Uprising and what was the other one that I hadn't opened yet? Outsiders, but Uprising specifically. I've actually been watching the case prices. It still doesn't look good. I feel like Outsiders is probably still the worst TV out of every single box, but it might just be I don't know. It hurts me to open boxes that don't have a chance of being profitable, but I think Uprising I can at least kind of wiggle room it, and I really want to see what's all about, right? Like I don't know. I never really got into the dragons. I think I remember seeing all the Marvel dragons, and you were all excited about them, and they're like, I just saw like way too. Well, actually, I think kind of like now, but there was just way too many very expensive Marvels, and I was like, there's just no way that it can support this many. And then most of them crashed out hard, and the value kind of sits in like 2 dragons right now. So I don't know. That was kind of what threw me off. I was always like, if I want to add them to my collection, I'll just wait till everything crashes, then pick up the coolest looking dragons. That's my metric for picking up.
They've been crashed for a while now. I think it's probably a pretty decent time to get them if you want them.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you'll just crack some whenever you get some Uprising.
That's the hope. All right, oh my gosh, that's so annoying. Okay, sorry. The YouTube stream is hating itself.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was me or you, but I was breaking. I couldn't hear you for a minute there.
Yeah, we lost a couple packets there. It's of course a stream night, so it's thunderstorming. That's just how it goes. The weather is scheduled around these Friday night broadcasts, so yeah.
You know how them Dems be seed in the clouds. Just kidding. Seriously, no. Just kidding.
But I mean, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Pennsylvania has a thunderstorm every other day. It seems like now.
Yeah. Weather's been a little rough here. But we were dabbling a bit into ProQuest. Were there any other big standout names you weren't expecting?
I was really happy to see Florian at number 4 because I thought that he was a little bit underrepresented, and it made me sad to see him be like the cheapest marble out of Rosetta now. Whenever I was watching your stream, he's my favorite. He's such a good character, and somehow, Disney's Princess Aurora is just the better one.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame. And like I said, I wish they would have went into a bit more of the Vault Haven lore. Maybe that's coming down the road. But yeah, poor Florian. And even James, I like that James Way was making jokes about how he used to dress like Florian looks now. It's that was like that's a fun little inspiration for that.
I was gonna say I used to dress like that too, with the long black hair, and then I lost all my hair, so I can't even do it anymore. He reminds me of better days.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, and the other big. No real like big events are happening. Obviously there's a bunch of ProQuests all over the place. All the weekends up to or for Pro Tour London, but there was some fun dumpster dive decks that came out on the 5th anniversary, and then they released today another batch of dumpster dives. They've been really pumping those out, and I really like those. Trying to read through them. So when I think of like funny meme decks, I never really considered like the Coldplay deck, right? Like,
you mean the meme as the concept?
Yeah, the concept meme decks, and I was like, this is genius. Like the all yellow deck.
They had to come up with the name Coldplay because they couldn't do Pisserai.
That's right. Yeah.
Any deck that is playing a Skyfire Lanterns is an absolute Mad Lad situation, and on a knife edge, man, that you're gonna bust out the Dorinthia versus Rhinar single for this deck. You're really going out of your way to make this deck.
Yeah. And from my from my side of the house, right? Like, usually when these dumpster dive articles come out, I see a lot of wild sales coming out, and I haven't this time, but I did after the 5th anniversary. And I sent you. I always send you like the sanitized like sales data for the week, and there was a bunch of real interesting picks, and I think a lot of them, after I pulled up the deck lists of some of these dumpster dive decks and the dumpster dive decks from the 5th anniversary stream, I think that's where we're seeing some of these, and I think we're just seeing people start to have and make some fun decks, because I gotta tell you, there's a lot of first time sales for cards, and not one that you'd probably ever be caught dead putting into a deck, I think.
No, there's plenty of weird cards in here that I'm looking at. I don't even remember which one I called out when we were talking about it. It was probably some kind of like what is this yellow Frostfang here? I know somebody is probably like, Jarl needs to make Frostbites. Give me 9 copies of Frostfang. But yellow Frostfang scraping the bottom of the barrel. But it could be a commoner deck, and if it's a commoner deck, that's super sick, because we need to see more people willing to play with the garbage. You gotta play some dumpster dives. I've been trying to make some dumpster dives, and I think my big problem with it is I'm way too competitive, and I'm like, okay, Acilio, he's not that good, if you're going to play a good wizard, you're going to play Kano or Icelander. Acilio's probably the worst wizard. Maybe I'll get attacked for that, probably, but I'm like, okay, I'll start with Acilio, and then I end up putting every single copy of Open the Floodgates in the deck, and then I'm like, is this still the dumpster if I'm drawing cards? And I don't think it is anymore. So I just need to build worse decks.
Well, I don't know if I think the dumpster dive is more just the pauper style, right? Like, I don't think it necessarily has to be a bad deck. I think it can still be a good deck. It's just the budget deck, really, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess it is just commoner, but the way that they, signify it with dumpster dive, like some of the like Coldplay Viserai, like You can do better than that with Viserys. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the fun meme, right? I guess, yeah. It's either like a good popper or a solid meme. I'll take a solid meme deck any day.
There's plenty of meme things that you can do without, like, not in commoner, because there's so many cool legendaries and majestics that have so many different effects. The only problem is there's like not that many people on the planet that even have those cards to put together to even mess around in real life with those decks, if you're just gonna, have fun with them instead of compete at a tournament. I remember one time I took a Blitz chain deck whenever he was still legal to an armory night, and I was just messing around. I just wanted to do something funny that I realized I could do, because Carrion Husk's downside is that after you've blocked with it, it banishes itself, and then you take damage every time that it's in your banished zone. But there's another card called Cash Out that lets you destroy your equipment to gain silver, and you also have access to Spellbound Creepers, which lets you play non-attack actions at instant speed. So what I would do is I would block with an attack action card so that Creepers would be on, and I would block with Carrion Husk. And then, before the combat chain closes, you cash out at instant speed and destroy your own Carrion Husk to make silver after it's blocked. And then you don't have the problem of it being in your banished zone. So it's like a win-win situation, except for the fact that you're playing a deck with cash out in it.
I mean, I'd like to see some. I have a stack of cash outs. I think I almost bought cash out as like another meme, like giant pile, like Life of the Party promos. I think I was looking at cash outs for a while there, so I think I've got like 60 or 70 of them just upstairs. But I mean, I'd love to see some use, but I just never really, I don't know, at this point. I'm not gonna see too much of it. Actually, I kind of wanted to circle back to Jarl. Jarl, real quick. So, I was thinking about this. I really like... Okay, so Unforgetting, Unforgiving, and Crumble to Eternity, right?
Essentially the same art, but like 100 years apart or whatever.
Yeah, like one's like an Arctic Wasteland version of the other one. And I was trying to think of, is there any card that we've seen do that wasn't just either like an alt art version of itself or a promo version of itself? Because, like it has like the winter and the spring version. I think Regicide has like a lit up and dark version of itself. Like the dark one's the promo. But I can't think of any instance of the same card art like morphed. And I
don't think that they have done that. I think the only other thing that was like a similar art that I can think of is the one that they showed when they were talking about Kraken's Aetherbane, that had that secondary art for the support card that they were going to make that they scrapped. I think that's the only time they've like reused a specific art. And I do want to point out one thing. Both of those cards, Carlos Cruchaga, another hit.
Oh.
Yeah.
I really dig the art for those. Honestly, I don't think there's a bad art card from the Jarl deck, from the 4 that got spoilered.
No, they're all hitters. Because Eisen that's a Mark Pool.
Did they officially say what his weapon's gonna be yet?
No, that is what everybody is dying to know, or at least I'm dying to know. I'm hoping that it's the first legendary weapon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, Jarl Vitreeli is like, his whole thing is putting holes in people's skulls. Okay.
Yeah.
You think it's just a majestic hook? That is a legendary fish hook situation. I don't know. I've ever since this game introduced the concept of legends, I'm like, one day they're gonna make a legendary weapon and it's going to be so cool. And Jarl is that time. Now, a lot of people think it's gonna be the gauntlet because he's got that icicle fist power up thing that it looks like he's doing. But who knows? I'm on team weapon.
Team weapon. It is a sweet weapon. Well, I'm just not sure how it's gonna be classified. Like, I always assumed it would be an axe because design-wise, it's just an ice climbing axe, right? Like a modern ice climbing axe has that same exact like articulated point. Not, I mean, not actually articulate, but like the 3-point like hook.
Yeah,
but it's still an
like
ice axe, right? Yeah. And which is great for an ice hero, right? A nice ice axe. But that's where I think there's a lot of just, you know, are they going to treat it as an axe? Are they going to make it a new type? I mean, could it be a bill hook? Could it be just a hook type?
They're not afraid to give it its own weapon type. They're going to call it what it is. Because there's the Dread Scythe, and they gave it Weapon Scythe. So, like, it's definitely not going to be a hammer. You're not going to be pummeling this thing. I would highly doubt that.
Wasn't there a big card that beefed axes not that long ago? That we
all of that is warrior.
It's only warrior. Okay. Yeah. So then, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's so much potential. I still will say that the Mangle card and the Jarl card have, I don't know if they updated the art for the weapon. Does the weapon have a name yet? I don't think it does. No. For the ice axe, and that's what kind of threw me off, was like the back half of it is slightly different, so I really don't know if it's the same weapon between the two, even though it's him in both of them. But there's one, or if it's maybe just an artist difference.
I think it's probably just going to be an artist difference on that one, because it is so close. It's like such a minor detail that's off on that.
Oh, there's two major significant differences. One has an extra angle on the hook, and then the counterweight's completely different. I don't know.
You find the difference game very, very astutely.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's very few things that they do, like lore and story-wise, that aren't there for a reason or coming up in like 2 or 3 sets down the road, right? Like, I think what we're seeing now with him coming specifically, you know, there's, you know, heroes hidden on card sets 4 or 5 years ago that are coming out. Like, I don't think of anything as a mistake. I think a lot of it has, I don't know, maybe
I don't want to take anything away from them, but it is very easy to just plant a lot of seeds and then go back to whichever one looks right for the situation, so that they could be like, oh, we're going, like, Jarl the Treaty is just a name that they did on this card that looked awesome, and now they've finally spent time making this hero and they can go back to it. But there's probably more than a dozen quotes on cards that they could go back and make that person a hero, and it's great. It's great that they did it. I'm not trying to take anything away from it, but it's not like, I doubt they knew 100% that they were going to make him a hero like right when they printed the card, and maybe they did, but who knows.
Well, I think back to, I think it was the interview James White did with Rudy way back, like years ago, and I think I remember him talking about them just having like binder full of heroes, like already kind of like thought out, like the rough, and then they can just kind of like flip through, tweak, and like pull out, you know, heroes as they need. And I wager they've got a pretty thick binder of heroes at this point. There's a lot of, I mean, the dev team is huge. They've got a lot of great like lore coming in, and a lot of hero concepts coming
on the wall back there, you know,
right?
Like if they Yeah, I'm sure they've got a lot of concepts that they're kicking around, just waiting for the right time or the right thing to make it make sense. But yeah, I mean, I think they try and make things fit to the. I think that they probably design more to the set. Like, okay, we're gonna make a good draft experience because I think they're really passionate about that, which is one of my favorite things about them because drafting Flesh and Blood, sealed Flesh and Blood, it's awesome. But uh, I I think they probably start with the set, decide what they're gonna do, and then like if they have any concepts, that's when they can like say, oh, this one fits. I think.
Yeah, and with the overarching story arcs, right, like that they talk about, you've got to think that in the initial design, because I think James mentioned, especially with like the concept with like Monarch, right, they come up with the overarching storyline real early on, and he's like real more intimate with that, and then like the story and narrative team like takes off with it. So I would bet a bunch of hero concepts come out of that initial like brainstorm sesh, and then they pick the ones they think will move the story in at the time that it comes out. At least that's what I would expect, and I don't know. I'm really excited. I think and whatever. I keep talking about like the armory deck heroes, the hero promos. I think it's a great time, and it's easy for them to just throw out these heroes that if they don't fit in the narrative, but they're still great design, like Jarl, then whip it out there. I don't know, the beauty of this game and its ability to like grow and change the meta. And
yeah, I mean, them making a deck like Jarl is basically just throwing a grenade on the meta. I can guarantee you that. With as many Majestics, and they already showed us like 3 or 4 new cards, and we know we're going to get several more new cards, this guy is going to be... I will honestly be stunned if he doesn't top 8 something as soon as he comes out.
Yeah, and what other game has the ability to do this, I think that's what's really interesting, is that you don't have to wait set to set to make the whole meta interesting again, right? All it takes is one armory night, one promo event, one armory deck. You just, toss that grenade in, shake everything up, and everything's interesting again, right? You revitalize the secondary market, you revitalize people's interest, you pump some lore in for the lore nerds. It's just wins all around, and it's design wise incredible, I think, for a trading card game.
And actually, that's one thing that I didn't really consider. Like, okay, they're going to Gen Con and giving out blazes at those things and making new heroes in the armory decks, but they absolutely could just like, one random month coming up, just say here's a brand new Blitz hero, or here's a brand new adult hero. Here's 33 promos to each store, and now there's just a new hero that's in every player's hands that if they want to try it out, that's in the meta now. That would be great. That's awesome. That's like a free DLC.
Yeah, and that's I don't know. That's why I think it's just so easy to get excited about things in this game. There's like, from whatever angle you come at it from, like player, collector, seller, if you just like the art, like, you're winning. There's W's in every direction, and so I'm always a big fan of seeing that.
Yeah, I can't even disagree. We may disagree on many things, but this game is not one of them.
That's true. Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say we argue a lot about this game, especially when it comes to the most fun packs to open.
Yes. Time for the tier.
Are you ready to argue? Y'all riled up, or well, if you're not riled up, you're about to get real riled up, I think. So we started this tier list last week, and unfortunately got cut off due to some some constraints, time limits on. I think it actually ended up being on Twitch side. Screwed up the restream stuff. We got it all fixed, but we got at least the first 4. And you know what? It took us, I think, 45 minutes to get 4 of these down. So,
looking at it now, I have my picture saved from where I made my own, so that I would like not have to like struggle and like, what was this one, dumpster dive or shred? I knew it was bad, but I didn't remember what my gut instinct was. So I've got that picture ready, and I didn't remember where we had put the ones that we already talked about, and. Damn, I still don't get it. But it's fine. We already argued about these ones.
Yeah, we're pretty safely compromised in the middle between us. I don't know how we got to this either. Yeah.
Because for me, Crucible and Monarch are my shreds. And there they are up at life of the party and timidity point for you. Which I think is just maybe your rose-colored glasses, but I don't want to reopen old wounds.
I think Monarch we never finished.
Really?
So when we picked one, I just put it on the middle. So I think we still have to finish up.
Oh, so maybe we're right on Monarch. Okay.
Which I think I had my pick for Monarch at timidity point, and I think you were at Shred, and we were trying to figure out if it was going to live in Dumpster Dive when the stream got disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I love Chain. Chain is my favorite all-time hero. My namesake Riled Up is because Rhinar was my first hero, and I still love Rhinar, but I still consider myself a Runeblade main simply because of Chain, and now Florian. I mean, Florian really inherited the goth boy mantle for me. But if I'm not drafting Monarch, I really don't want to open it.
I mean, I think the problem now is I think you're just looking at opening it now versus maybe opening it when it came up or when it first started. I mean,
absolutely. I don't live in the past.
You don't live in the past. I don't know. I mean, and here I am. I have a brand new box of Monarch down on my dining room table, ready for an opening this weekend, probably. But I don't know. I always liked the art. I think this was like the first set where like you got to see just how grimdark it could be. It was the launch of a pretty probably the first main actual like story arc across the game. It was the first one with talents, which, you know, we heard during the 5th anniversary stream. Specifically, you know, everyone thinks Monarch was the first one designed. It wasn't, but
the reason people think that is definitely in part to me. I've definitely been a proprietor of that rumor. Because whenever he's and it's 100% what James White said, because whatever they asked him, like, how do you think that people came up with this? And it's because they knew about Chain. Like, they had Chain, they had Phi, they had talents, and then they worked backwards. So I think whenever I heard that, I probably was just like, oh, well, you know, they worked from talents backwards, so it's kind of like Monarch was designed before. But that's not true.
Yeah, but I think that just comes back to, you know, binders full of heroes, right? That's sorry, I subtly bring up binders full of women. Binders full of heroes, but
you've got to get over the Earthbind, man.
Oh man,
the rootbound carapace is not going to go to the next frame for you.
No, but I don't know. I think it was a very exciting set. I think, I don't know, art-wise it was exciting, talent-wise it was exciting, lore-wise it started everything.
It was so much more exciting for me when it first came out, if not only for the market hype. You know, because I was around with all the crazy stuff whenever people were selling these things. I personally paid $400 for a box of Monarch First Edition at one point. Mostly because I thought it was worth it. And, you know, you pull something like a Cold Foil Carrion Husk and it was $300. So, I mean, for a second there, it didn't seem that crazy, you know, except that it was.
Yeah, I think I bought the Rudy deal for Monarch, which ended up at $280 a box for a case. So yeah, I think oh gosh, yeah, that was rough. That was real rough. That was like, I think it ended up being like 1,200 total. And now a box of first, no, now a case of first is what, like 220.
Yeah.
So
I had actually sat on 2 cases of Monarch First Edition for the longest time, and it was simply because I do like it. I like Monarch. I'm telling you, I put it in shred, but I like it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think that's why I put it at timidity point. Because yeah, nowadays I don't like to. Do I like remembering spending over $1,000 on a case for something that's worth now $200? That was an 80% loss. It was not great financially, but the set itself had a lot to balance that out with.
There's so much good about Monarch, except, you know, the reality of opening it is so dismal, and that'll be fixed with time. You know, Monarch in Tales is just kind of like Ice Age, I guess. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if James White and them really just were like, you know, we'll overprint a set. We'll be just like Magic.
Yeah.
They were really trying to emulate them, you know, all this symbolism and stuff. Not really. Yeah, that would be insane.
All right, so where are we gonna keep it? Can we compromise on a dumpster dive? Do you think?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with Monarch being in the dumpster. That's pretty much where it belongs.
Oh, poor. You wait until I open up my $37 Monarch box tomorrow or something, and then you see all the value I pull out of that. It's gonna be great. All right, next, of course, Tales.
I have some great memories with Tales, and that's probably why I have it at Dumpster Dive.
Wait, you have yours at Dumpster Dive?
Yeah, I have it at Dumpster Dive. Do we agree?
We agree.
Holy shit.
Tales is a solid Dumpster Dive. Again, I don't know. I think I get more hyped about like the art of it. I liked the lore dump we got with everyone. I liked learning about Volhaven and Candlehold. Like I don't know. I just love the Arya arc, which is, you know, why I think Rosetta and Everfest kind of, you know, touch my heartstrings. But boy, does it suck to open. I just don't like.
So my best memory of Tales is I think it was pre-release. It was either pre-release or release. I opened up my first Fable in Tales because I opened up a cold foil Corsham at pre-release or release, one or the other, and I was so excited, and I sold it immediately, and that was probably the easiest $300 I ever made in my life. and I'm so glad I got rid of it immediately, because Corsham is also in the dumpster and deserves to be there. But Tales is a very fun set. It's another one that's fun to draft, even though I've never, I've 8-0'd a calling on Briar and probably won a single game on Lexi. I'm just terrible at Lexi. I cannot figure out how to draft that deck.
Was Briar the first totally broken hero, would you say?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people would probably say Chain, but I love my boy Chain, so I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I think Briar might have been more broken. They actually errated her, so. Yeah,
they errated her. Yeah, man, she got the blunt end of that. I don't know. Yeah, that was, not their greatest moment, but yeah, I think that's all solidly cements right in that dumpster dive area. Because I still don't hate it, but I definitely won't. I mean, I just opened a case of it. 2 months ago, I think.
Creepers in it as a Runeblade main. I gotta say, those things are awesome, even if they're, half the time outclassed by Snapdragon scalers, but it's fine. They look cool, and that's what matters. And also, it's Bima. Bima with pencil is probably my second favorite artist. This is Kruchaga, and then Bima is also the one that did the Seeds of Agony, and that's the tattoo on my arm.
Oh yeah, I think Tails is actually the first set. I think the Soyame cards like got my attention in.
Oh well, yeah, because she did Frostcloak. Is it or
I think
Code of Frost. I mean
Code of Frost.
Code of Frost.
Yep. So yeah, it had its little ups. All right.
Yeah, it's a great set, but fun to open.
Okay, this one I think is gonna be a fight, because obviously it's Everfest, and I think there's only one rank it could possibly be in my eyes.
Can I just say before we go any further, the carnival theme? So many people are about the carnival theme. I want to first and foremost come out and say, Everfest, I hate the carnival theme. Everfest is if we're talking about aesthetics, if we were simply talking aesthetics, I would put that thing in shred. I hate it. I think it's so stupid. But I understand some people might like it.
Okay, so I think the first thing we need to address with Everfest is that aesthetically, the carnival theme is easily riled up, right? The single best point of this entire set is how awesome the carnival theme is. The Everfest is glorious. It is it's probably the one that I actually went the hardest in on the lore. Like reading all the articles on, I loved it. I was trying to dig every little bit of information out of it. I love the fact that the box is a pop-up tent.
All of the boxes,
everything, bro. Well, yeah, but not like a pop-up tent. This is it's like whatever. What are these? Thematically, having a big tent pop up like the circus tent, rise up for the beginning of Everfest. I don't know. It's symbolically fantastic, thematically divine. I mean, aesthetics alone, I'd put it riled up. But obviously, I think it probably lives the life of the party because it did totally ruin the entire cold foils.
I did put it at life of the party.
You did put it at life. So we agree on Everfest then. That's
a little bit. I don't think it's riled up because I think that it's aesthetically stupid, but I'm not gonna be over here in denial about how good the cards in it are.
Yeah, the cards were amazing for every class. I think the biggest thing that upset the most people was this was the first set where they just made 50 cold foils and destroyed the EV of the entire box. Because you got to remember, at this time, almost all the value in a box's EV was really coming from, if not the Fable, the cold foil. Early cold foil, even now I looked at an early iron rot plate or iron rot, I think plate or iron rot helmet, I think in cold foil, it still goes for $90. Who cares about iron rot, right? That's not playable.
But that's cannot compare to the alpha print, though. You cannot compare that to the alpha print. But there's so many fewer.
But up to Everfest, there was I think even in especially Monarch, the cold foils held value. Everfest, they're nah, dog, 50 cold foils. I think they did raise it. It's 1.5 per box. But when the average of your cold foils value is 90 cents, there's no saving that box price.
Well, I really think that is just how you want to perceive the box opening. Some may say that additional cold foils that are cheaper means that the average cold foil value is down, but you're opening up a box that still has a cold foil in it instead of a box that has absolutely nothing in it, is more what I'm thinking it is. You know, it's and it's not like all cold foils in the set are terrible. They're just, it's always a multiplier on what they are. Like if you're gonna have a cold foil of a rare, it's not gonna be $150. It's gonna be $25.
But I mean, I would say like, well, I don't know. Monarch was obviously an interesting pricing situation, but even the common cold foils and the rare cold foils were at their time huge money. Like, let's see, what was I think Blood Drop Brocade was in Monarch.
Yeah, that was Monarch.
Yeah, and that,
nobody plays that.
No one plays it, but that cold foil was still like $80. Like,
really? Wow.
Oh yeah, I remember trying out because I really wanted it early on. I might have it now because I think the prices finally dropped out completely on it.
I would be absolutely stunned if it's more than $3. I need to look though.
Oh yeah, I don't know if it's down there, but
it should be. It should not.
But yeah, I mean that was just.
I have to eat humble pie. It is $3.94 plus shipping.
$3.94. Yeah, see, big money on those. I don't know. I think that Everfest just disillusioned everyone from the cold foils. No one cared anymore. I mean, Tails did a pretty good job starting that trend. Like what is it called? Like the Rotten Buckler, Deep Blue, Ragamuffin's Hat, Cracker Jacks. Actually, I love the name Cracker Jacks, but like
I love how you mention all these terrible cold foils, but then sometimes people figure things out and they're not so terrible anymore. Like Ragamuffin's Hat, everybody was like, "What is this trash?" But Kano makes that card look like Stormstriders.
Yeah, the cold foil is still like $2 though. I don't know. It's I was actually just going down memory lane because I think we were talking about cold foils last week, and I just went through this week and actually I just picked up a ton. I think like 60 cold foils. For that'll be the next mail call, but I was like
crazy.
Yeah, I was going down that memory lane. Yeah, especially because I'm paying like 25 cents for a lot of these cold foils, which is obscene. I don't know. I remember it wasn't just me. Like, I think I was watching a lot of Louis on Kitchen Table TCG. He was like, there's no way any cold foil will ever stay below $1. And you know what?
Yeah, well, that's your problem.
Yeah, he actually still stands by that. I watched a video of his the other day. I think it was with when he got his new robot. He was talking about. I was like, you know what? I said that. I still stand by that. He's like, I don't think a cold foil should be below $1. I 100% agree. Cold foils or something.
I agree. I just don't think that it's reality.
But the reason it's not reality is because they overprint it. You can't print 50 cold foils and then have them all be bangers. And I think it's the same problem that like the Dragon Marvels had in Uprising. You can't print that many and expect value to stay.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be so perfectly stick every value, right? Like if there's an equipment, no matter how bad it is, there should be the shiny version of that thing. Like, if you want to make a fully cold foil deck and go to every single judge and buy their packs so that you get all your cold foil Fate Foreseens and cold foil Sink Belows, that is your prerogative, and it's awesome that Flesh and Blood kind of does that. Like, slowly, as staples have come out, they print cold foil versions and promo versions, and I know that a lot of people hate that whole Magic the Gathering thing where they're like, why is there so many versions? But really, there aren't that many versions for Flesh and Blood. It's your normal, your rainbow foil, your cold foil, sometimes your Marvel, and sometimes your EA rainbow foil. And I guess that's 5 things, but at least it's not a wanted poster.
Oh, I love those wanted posters. I love them so much.
Are you over there playing One Piece?
Oh, man. No, Outlaw or Thunder, was it Thunder Outlaw, Thunder Junction? Outlaw Thunder Junction, yeah. But
let's not Sully riled up any further and get back to
but yeah, I mean, but the thing is it's fine to have that many versions of cold foils and shinies and like 5 whole arts or whatever of your card, but when you're limited to 1.5 per box, and I think at the time there was maybe 4 or 5 cold foils worth really actual anything. The chances of pulling those was low. You were more likely to pull a Fable than you were to pull a valuable cold foil in Everfest, and that did not make it fun to open. It was very easy to open a box of Everfest. You're like, oh, I just paid $80 for this box, and then you open it up and you ended up with like $10 of value, and you're like, well, this doesn't feel good. And normally the swings aren't that swingy when you're mass buying or mass opening boxes. I mean, if you're mass opening, it'll eventually kind of level out to some degree, but if you're little Timmy, poor little Timmy saved up all of his allowance to buy 1 box of Everfest, and he got a cold foil talisman of insurrection or something, and it's like, well,
poor little Timmy needs to learn a lesson about gambling.
Yeah, he just learned a hard lesson. Buy singles only. Never buy boxes. Don't buy boxes.
If you aren't comfortable, you throw in your money in the trash on a dopamine hit. Don't buy boxes.
Yeah, which sucks because I think on most of Flesh and Blood, you're going to at least make back 80% of your money that you put into a box. And Everfest was like, you're lucky if you made back 20% of what you put into that box.
But not today.
Well, as someone who has opened up probably more Everfest cases than any other set, outside of I graded Starvo, I graded the Grandeur of Valhai, which I think is the only reason I made any money off of Everfest openings. I
bought Swarming Gloom Veils off you. I mean, I feel like there's plenty of Majestics. Like, you got 2 $30 Majestics, and I know it wasn't more than 50 a box, right?
No, it wasn't. But if I look at my stack in my inventory, my stack of Everfest Marvels or Majestics is like this big. There's a lot of value there on paper, but the throughput on them is just miserable. No one's actually buying them. I saw
you only sold 1 Swing Big, although Swing Big's one of the best cards in the set.
Yeah, that's always shocking to me. Well, that's the thing is you pull these cards and you're like, oh, this is going to move immediately. This is like big money card. Well, no, not until the Blingening, I think, will most of my Marvels and Majestics sell. So I give it another month before everyone starts really.
Did you at least move the cold foil healing potions? I figured for sure those would
go. Never sold a single. I even went upstairs. I went through my cold foil binder and found the rest of my cold foil healing potions. Not a single one is sold.
Crazy. I actually think that should have sold.
You would think. Well, that's where that's just.
I guess there's only 2 verdicts. Maybe people just aren't playing her. I mean,
yeah,
it's already hard enough playing a wizard. Maybe people don't want to go through the rigmarole of playing Count Your Blessings and stuff.
But Count Your Blessings disappear immediately. Like, I don't know if you saw that. Every non-foil and foil version of Count Your Blessings gone within 24 hours of me listing them. But healing potions are there forever. So
I gotta see how many of those I have. I might get a playset of healing potions and build verdants. But
good. Yeah, you know a guy who's got them. So the Everfest cards just don't sell, and that's a shame. Except to you. You're my Everfest junkie, apparently.
I gotta do my part and put the market on my back, just like every other player out there, and do my part. I really think that Starvo's gonna come back. I mean, Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I got this wild idea the other week that was just like Belling the Crown. It's an awesome card. There's so many good new cards, so many good new lightning cards. I just feel like Starvo was so broken. He's so good. Absolute amazing hero ability, and he's nowhere to be found in the Living Legend format because like 5 of his cards are limited to 1. But now he has access to so many new Earth cards and so many new Lightning cards, like Channel Lightning Valley. I saw there's actually one other awesome person that I was talking with in the Discord that they showed me their deck that they've been messing around with. And I'm just looking at these cold foil Marvel. Well, they weren't Marvel yet because Everfest did the first treatment like this, so it's just called cold foil. But the cold foil star of the show is $20. You can, and there's 10 of them out there. Well, there's 21 of them, but 10 of them are in the $20 price point. And I think by the time Chicago Living Legend Calling rolls around, I think we're gonna see Starvo, and those might disappear. Because I don't know. He was so good when he was in meta, and to think that all of his cards are still limited, I think he still has a chance with these Earth cards and the Lightning cards. I think it's really some good stuff that they just released that could push him into the limelight again.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where Living Legend ends up, but that's another talk. This talk is us fighting. So, I guess we agreed on Tales and Everfest. I didn't expect to agree on those. Now this one, History Pack 1. Honestly, this is just gonna be both History Packs. I really don't.
Well, History Pack 2, we're not European, so we would have to like special order that.
And I do have some cards from it, but it's just I order from Italian sites. So this I think is pretty easily and handedly the first and best shred in my book.
So I know that you're saying it's shred because I'm guessing that white border stuff just does not sell. But I'm not 100% sure because I think if you're a new player getting into the game, that it's actually life of the party because it's got 36 packs. It's not a 24 pack box. So it's like a box and a half of anything else. And you can get, 9 different legendaries out of it, including Tunic and every single one of the Battle Worn 2 legendaries from the first 2 sets. I think for somebody that is more along the lines of like wanting to open cards because they have a gambling problem or they just like owning cards that they pulled themselves, I can be a little like that sometimes. You just, you're going to get your Command and Conquer, you're going to get your Enlightened Strike, you're going to get it had so much stuff in it that like you're more likely to get something interesting than I think to get like an absolute garbage box. But maybe you've opened a case and pulled nothing. I've opened 48 packs of it and gotten 2 legendaries.
Yeah, no, I would never put my money onto a history. I just don't want the white border garbage in my collection. I don't know.
I like my white border Mask of Momentum and my white border Tectonic Plating.
Which is weird. I don't know. It's like a scarlet letter. I don't like it. And I don't know. The reprinting, the idea behind the reprinting instead of fixing or making better newer cards really irked me. I did not like the idea of constantly just reprinting the same card over and over and over again, like we see with Command and Conquer. Even though I really expected the prices to tank way more than they did, and I think even LSS was really expecting the prices to tank more than they did, because realistically they managed to maintain a lot of that value. And
yeah, I mean the white border Command and Conquer is still gonna run you $80.
yeah, which I don't know. I don't like. I don't want to be like. Who wants to bust out the deck with the poor people? The poor man's Command and Conquer. Just put the
Okay, so there's got to be somebody out there that would relate to this experience. You're at Boy Scouts and you've just learned about Magic the Gathering, and your friends have got all this box of cards that they don't even use, and they're playing red decks and green decks and black decks and blue decks. And I go through all these cards, and there's all this white border stuff that's like not that they don't use, but so I make a white deck, and somehow I find that Pegasus enchantment. So I'm just playing like all these white border cards and generating Pegasi, and that was like my first big Magic memory is involving white border cards, because they were the ones that were like left over for somebody else to build a deck with. So
yeah, they were the garbage pile of Magic, basically. Like unless it was like revised, which no one was putting into that box. It's
that is how I learned I was good at card games, though, because I took their garbage and beat their ass with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think even then we argued a lot about like how do you lower the price or like the entry value of the cards? How do you get people away? I'll still stand, I think, to this day on the fact that you just got to give them better alternatives, maybe class-specific alternatives, which is what I think they're finally leaning into now. I think if they would have done that sooner rather than just trying to reprint cards over and over and over again, they would have achieved that lower average deck cost that they're honestly realistically gunning for.
Well, it's funny that it's that even with a lower deck cost, because I think that there's a card. Well, there's more than one card, but one's way more relevant than the other. And we're talking about Command and Conquer, and we're talking about class-specific versions of Command and Conquer. So, like, if you're KO, you can try some Strength Rules All, or you could try some. There's another one that I just am failing to remember the name of, but there's another Brute Majestic that handles Arsenal just like Command and Conquer, and that's not as relevant. But the one that is more relevant now is Plow Under. And that's still a $30 card because it interacts with the Arsenal. So, I mean,
yeah, but you can get a play set of that. Yeah, oh yeah, but you can get a play set of that for the same cost as one Command and Conquer, right? Like,
yeah, about as long as you stay away from the white border. The white border is a little too cheap.
Yeah, you white borders. I don't know. I think it failed at what it was originally supposed to do. Like, it was designed with a goal. The goal did not get met. They introduced the grossest border. I don't know. There's just.
I think I think that the goal is kind of like the goal that it was in Magic too. Like, the fact that you hate it, the fact that it's gross, will mean that when the game starts to get big and the rainbow foils and the black borders go to the moon, fingers crossed, we all love this game, so we want it to be the next Magic. The gross, ugly shit will still be more affordable for the people who want to get into it, because, look at revised duels now, right?
Yeah, but then, who's making decks out of 4th edition cards, right? Like,
yeah. I've ran a white border Swords to Plowshares, man. So, I mean, yeah, but I'm the weirdo over here, so.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, it just never feels good. Even when I'm like buying Magic bulk, when you look in and you just see like half the box is like white border, and you're like, oh,
dude, send me every white bordered Wrath of God you find.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, but yeah, no, it's like, great. These are cards that'll never sell. They'll just never move.
Well, I think it's a life of the party, and you think it's a shred, so let's put it in the dumpster.
All right.
Yeah, I'll
Gross.
agree that for it to be what it is, it has to be gross to most of the population, and it is.
Yeah. Now, Uprising's going to be interesting because I have never opened it. But the reason I never opened it was because I thought it was dumb. I just had like the time. I did not like it. It actually was so bad, and I was so disinterested that it put me off for like the next 3 sets.
What do you like about it though, honestly? Because I thought Draconic was super sick. I was on board with everything.
I don't know. I thought it was just way too many Marvel. I mean, the Marvels were cool. They're dragons. Like dragons need something special. But I think I was worried that it was gonna be the same situation as Everfest, where they just you know, they finally introduced Marvels. Like you're like, oh cool, you know, like a Marvel card. Well, I guess technically, Starvo wasn't a Marvel, even though he was like the first Marvel. I was like, wow, it went from like this one unique card a set thing to like, oh, let's just dump a whole bunch of Marvels out. Which
I did think it was
diminishes the value of.
But you know what else they did that did help the value of those? They didn't make them rainbow foil. Every single one of those dragons, you had to play in regular, or you had to spend the bucks on Marvel. So they sort of were like, you either be fine with normal cards or fork over the cash if you want to be flashy. But I think they have that attitude with Illusionist. It seems like every other day they're putting a new cold foil Illusionist card out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would probably put it in Dumpster Dive. I haven't actually opened it yet, so
We agree. I put it on
really?
Dumpster Dive. Yeah, I put it
Okay.
on Dumpster Dive, even though I like the heroes in it. But I mean, Dromai is banned, Icelander is banned, Phi is neutered until we get another Draconic set.
Which hopefully next set, you know, fingers crossed, we'll find out in a couple weeks. So
Unbanned Stubby Hammers.
the poor stubby hammers. I forgot about that. Yeah, that was bad. That was real bad. All right. Well, I guess we can jump pretty quick to. Is this Outsiders? Yeah.
Yes.
Now this was a
No,
set.
this is Dynasty.
Is this Dynasty? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dynasty's
Dynasty.
first. Dynasty's first.
Dynasty's first. Well, I mean, so Dynasty is the second set I've never opened. But
I'm riled up about Dynasty. I friggin'
really,
love Dynasty. Like if I'm at my armory and they've got Dynasty and it's pack a win, I'm opening Dynasty.
now I would say okay. So I would probably put it at Life of the Party personally, despite the fact that I haven't opened it. But I have gone through a lot of the cards because for some reason I have a ton of Dynasty bulk. I've been buying up. I mean, if you looked at my last mail call, like I feel like a third of my promos were from Dynasty. Dynasty or Uprising, really, but most of it's
You had
Dynasty.
so many soup ups, dude.
Well, no, there was one soup up. Okay, you were talking. I think the gas one, the gas up.
I might have been.
There's
I
three
also
of
could have been
those.
across different mail calls, but all I know is that I saw so many Bright Lights promos, and I think Bright Lights might have actually been my period of least interest, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, I know. I think like art direction wise, I really liked a lot of the cards in Dynasty.
So they did the Royal Marvels for I can't remember what they're called, but all the weapons and the shield that they gave that special like golden.
It was like gold and black, right? Like
yeah, because it was supposed to be like this is all the stuff that is in the Emperor's arsenal, like in you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Those are all awesome, but honestly, the reason I'm mostly riled up about it is that friggin' fabled Command and Conquer, the best card in the game.
You do
Listen,
love
if you're,
that, yeah.
I love it. I love it. If I went out of my way to get a play set as soon as I knew that, like, because I was watching it like a hawk. I watched that market as soon as the monkey paw curled and made the CNC reprint of Fabled. I was like, oh yes. I loved that, and I really want to know who was responsible for that idea, because I love it. I love the fact that somebody at LSS, and maybe it's James, and if it's James, that's so awesome. But you go online and you read reprint Command and Conquer, reprint Command and Conquer, reprint Command and Conquer, and then you reprint it as a Fabled. I love it.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I don't know, actually I really liked the idea behind the other, well, the Emperor, right? Like the Emperor, the Arachne.
Yeah, there's some cool storytelling there. They make a card that's practically useless, but it's, a win the game con that's like, well, it's not like you wanted this thing to work that easily, right? I still think that there should be a way to donate somebody the crown. Like, you should be able to play as Arachne and then, like, reverse pickpocket it to them if they have an empty head slot, and then hit them with it. But Dynasty is just, it's just so good. I love the Fabled Command and Conquer. If you want to open up a lottery pack, you're just opening up packs at your LGS for pack a win on Armory or whatever. What are you doing if you aren't cracking something with, real lottery potential in it?
And lottery it is, because I believe EV wise, it's horrific. And not just that it's like low, where you look at like Monarch and its EV is low, but the box prices match it. Dynasty box prices are really high, but the EV is very low. And there's only one other set worse than it. So, which is just one of the reasons I've never opened it. And
I think if they make a warrior that really is like amazing with an axe. Not saying the Decimator axe Dory isn't cool, but like if we're talking like a real meta axe warrior that could use Felling Swing, I think maybe we'd see some more stuff on Dynasty, and we don't even really have a character that cares too much about aim counters, like, so you're not getting people that want like the point the tip or the like. So the commons and rares, like I can't even really think of any outside of the Arachne ones, because there is all the Arachne stuff like in that assassin slot. That's one of the interesting parts about that pack, is that there's slots like specifically for assassin cards that you'll open up in every pack.
I gotta tell you, I really don't want to put in Riled though. Can we settle on Life of the Party? I don't know.
We can settle on Life of the Party. That's fine.
I know we haven't had one in Riled Up yet that we both really agreed on.
So far, I've tried to submit 2 Riled Ups. And both of them are because of Command and Conquer.
Yeah, and I think I had 2, and then I think that's how we have 4 at Life of the Party. But but
if you can open up Command and Conquer, you just have to realize the potential is there, because you open up a Command and Conquer out of a pack, I don't care who you are, if you play Fab or are aware of Flesh and Blood's pricing, you open Command and Conquer, you're happy.
Yeah. Now this one, I hope, is going to be the first in a slot, because Outsiders, I think, should be an easy shred in my book.
I have it at timidity point. Because really? I know that it can't be riled up. But if we're talking about any set that I have any kind of bias for, like unwarranted bias, I'll admit that it's unwarranted bias. Because I've seen terrible Outsiders boxes. I've seen terrible Outsiders cases, but that did not stop me from opening up like 4 banger cases in a row. the clump really blessed me when I was opening up Outsiders, to the point that I once opened up a rainbow foil legend and a cold foil legend in the same pack. So I love the set because Uzuri was in it. She was the first, draftable assassin there. I mean, Arachne was also the solitary confinement. Arachne was also there, but Uzuri was the one that had the adult hero that had that awesome swap out ability that was like, really let me abuse my command and conquers, right? Because you didn't even know when the command and conquer was coming anymore. It was a great set, and it brought back Katsu and Benji. Benji was finally in a set that you could play if you were a big Benji fan, and made Riptide, who I thought was stupid for the longest time, but now I think I probably like playing him better than I like Azalea. I like tanky heroes. I like being able to block. I like saying no. If you were a blue mage in Magic the Gathering, play you some Riptide now.
Now I'm gonna go back to the title of this tier list, which is fun to open. Now, I think you're making a lot of good arguments for the set as a whole, but fun to open, it is not. You got real lucky, but boy, I opened up a case of it and it was excruciating. I think it's the worst pack setup of any Flesh and Blood set, like hands down, because with the way that the
rare distribution's crazy.
You can open up packs with just one rare in all commons, and that is very common. Like, you can open up, I would say probably a third of a box will have one rare and the rest are commons, and that feels awful to open up.
I'll be honest here, and this is part of why I have it at timidity point too. So I was talking about how much I love draft and sealed. Outsiders is not good. I mean, maybe people will really argue with me about that, but I love playing draft and sealed, and I hated the stack. Outsiders is the reason we have 30 card limit rules on deck building for sealed and draft now. I think that they absolutely knew that letting people have as many cards as they wanted in their deck, after everybody played a whole bunch of Outsiders, they're like, oh, we can't let them do this again. And that's 100% right, because that was awful. I hated it.
Yeah, I just don't know. You go back to, things that made packs fun. Like, Everfest had their Carnival slot. They started bringing in the Flex slots. There's a lot of cool, interesting things you can do with a pack. And then they're like, it'd be really cool. What if you just had more chances to pull commons? And who thought of this? What this was done. It was.
We can
awful.
probably blame Gottlieb on it. Isn't this the first set? Or no, Dynasty was because of Arachne. But this would have been the first draftable set that he worked on. So maybe that was his idea. We'll put one rare in some packs and 3 rares in other packs. And thank you for trying. You tried something, but I really didn't like opening those packs much either.
No.
But you could get a Marble Codex of Frailty and fund your college courses or something.
I mean, those looked cool. I did like the new design, like the codexes. The other big gripe I had with opening it is I bet you the people who had to actually bulk open case of this were slitting their wrists over this. Because all right, so when I do the bulk openings, right? You see me do Rosette and stuff. I've got my boxes. You open it up, right? You do the first 12 go to for Rosetta specifically. The first 12, boom, commons, they go in the common pile. The next 2 are rares or maybe a majestic. Those go in the rare pile. And then you got your 2 tokens, right? Clean. They don't necessarily have to be in rarity order, but they're in some sort of order. And then you've got Outsiders. So it was let's do 5 commons, and then maybe 1 rare, and then maybe another common, and then maybe another rare, and then maybe some more commons, and then a token. And it's I don't know. I hated like always having to like sort through get them out of order, and it's not a quick set to open. It's quality of life wise miserable. It feels bad to open. It's slow to open. It doesn't draft. I don't know. For me, that's an easy shred. You put it at timidity point.
I put it at timidity point because there's a lot of things that I like about it. I just hated how it devolved into like Riptide piles, and that's. I would much rather like to go back and play some draft of Outsiders with like a 30 card limit, like a hard 30 card limit, and see how that goes. But I mean, maybe they did it on purpose because they knew that Riptide would fatigue out and that you just couldn't. But maybe not. I really don't know. We're not in the dev room. But by the time I was done drafting Outsiders, I, wanted my cold foil Uzuri, and then I was done. I don't really want to draft it anymore.
Yeah, I just think, like, of the overall metrics for fun to open, if it's not like, if it doesn't feel good to open, if it doesn't draft well, and
yeah, well, I'll change my mind because maybe I'm just being too biased to think it's timidity point. I'll put it in shred.
I feel like, yeah, it just hit every point of ick, right? You get the ick opening packs, and that is not everyone has your luck. Your luck is filthy and shouldn't even be legal. I don't know. It's awful. I don't know. Okay. Now, this set, I'm actually interested to see where this goes. Because I think Dusk Till Dawn, I would put in Riled Up.
Wow. So I don't hate it being Riled Up. I think that if I were to fully buy into the fantasy of pulling an art card, that it would be Riled Up. But maybe I just see the not very, like, the double digit number of cards being the chase card. Like, I'll say, yeah, you want to play the lottery, buy Dynasty. But if you really want to play the lottery, you buy Dusk Till Dawn, because there's literally like 10 chains and 10 prisms that some have already been pulled that might be in there. There's so I mean, like, there's absolutely absurdly, disgustingly rare things to be found in Dusk Till Dawn, but you won't open them.
Which I think I put the odds at 1 in 210,000. Was it packs or boxes? I think it was packs. Yeah. 1 in 210,000 packs. Yeah. For serialized. Which, when calculating for EV, is so minuscule it doesn't even matter. You're talking about like a thousandth of a penny, right? So I think I have it in my EV charts, but I mean, I don't even, not even considering the chance of pulling a serialized card, which I don't think they've done another serialized card, have they? No, that was the first and only experiment with serialized.
Yeah, because even though that they said that there was only 100 Marvel Enigma New Moon, they're not actually serialized. So I mean, I guess it still counts if it's in the collector's center, but I think it probably only counts if there's literally a number on it, right?
Yeah. Well, but in the asterisk to the New Moon was also, it's 100 per language printing. So they remember. I think.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned that in passing before. So it's like so is it in like German, Spanish, French, etc.?
Yeah, and Japanese, I think. So I think there was 5 languages. So technically there's 500 enigmas, I think. I'd have to go back and look at the notes, because I think I sent you a whole write-up on it, and then I promptly forgot about it once I figured out that all that. But yeah,
this is one that I put at timidity point simply because, like, I'm not a big Prism fan. I wasn't about the new Prism, and even though I was a huge Chain fan, Vincent doesn't really do it for me. I just,
I mean, design-wise, I love Vincent, but I mean, yeah. I mean, the heroes themselves don't make it fun to open. I don't know. I think fun-wise, I don't know. I really liked the Marvels in this one. I don't know. The Angel cards I thought were great. Like the Figment into Angels. I mean, it was kind of like I guess the parallel to Uprising, but I think actually done well. I don't know. Like it also featured, you know, I don't know. I've got a soft spot for Soya May cards. So like my favorite.
Yeah, she did put that terrible warrior card in that, right?
Oh wait, which one?
It's the instant. It's like Iron Song something.
I was thinking the Avalon, the angel of which one is that? Which angel is that? I don't know. The two angels I really like were Avalon and blanking on the other one. And then they both ended up being Soy May. I didn't even realize it before. I think when I did the Dusted On case opening a couple weeks ago, like I was just like, I think you were just asking like what's your favorite art, or what's your favorite art in the set, and I picked out like two of them, and you know what, both of them just happened to be Soy May cards, which I didn't even realize at the time, which I think just reaffirms my
that happens to me all the time. I love the artists that they picked out because they all have distinct styles. There's so many people that I've talked to that they'll be like, oh, you know, my favorite's Feed, or like, you know, any artist. You talk to any Fab player and they'll all probably say a different artist if you talk to a room full of Fab players, and you can tell because whenever I look at an art, I'll be like, oh man, I love that one, and then it'll end up being like Kruchaga, who's one of my favorites. But the art is so huge for this game. I don't think it would be where it is without the gameplay or the art. It's both really strong.
Yeah, and I don't know. I really think thematically, I also just really love Dusted On.
Box art's sick. 10 out of 10 box art.
Yeah, the box art I love. Like I love this mat. I think I got that off of you, right? Is that one I bought off you? Yeah.
Yeah, because you got 10 mats off me, and I wanted to make sure that I gave you a different mat from a different set each one. I think the only one we ended up doubling up on was Everfest, because you got the Bravo Star of the Show mat and the Icelander mat.
I think I have a couple Everfest ones. Who else did I have? I think there's. Well, I picked up some others too. I got a couple from MidMax, and I have one coming from Card Trader, which I'm actually the most excited about. But
is that the one that's like the secret?
Yeah, that's the secret one. That'll show up on a mail call in probably 3 months whenever Card Trader sends them to me. It makes me so sad that it takes so long for Card Trader cards to come.
I shipped a Command and Conquer mat to New Zealand, and I made the mistake of writing Flesh and Blood TCG on it, and so that made people want to look at it because it said Flesh and Blood was what I was shipping.
Oh. Yeah, you probably don't. Yeah, it's probably a mistake. That's
yeah, just put trading cards.
Trading cards. Yep. Oh, that's hilarious, actually. Oh man. Yeah, it's funny you'd have to mail something back to New Zealand. Be like, I know this is where you guys started from, but here you go. Have it back.
Well, speaking of luck, I mean, I won the one Command and Conquer mat at a skirmish, and then I won a raffle for the other one, so I sold one of them back to a New Zealander. The Command and Conquer mat's pretty rare, even, you know, globally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, in that Card Trader, that's going to be a very long mail. Because I think my single order for that was like 600 cards. So there's a lot coming.
That just made me realize I'm getting quite the PSA 10 collection. So I've got a non-foil first edition Command and Conquer PSA 10. I've got Cold Foil Mage Master Boots PSA 10, and now I've got the previously your Bravo Star of the Show PSA 10.
Yeah, I think I've got. Let me see. I think I sent 10 off for grading. I sold 3 of them. So I've still got a bunch up there. I think though I can't remember what my worst was. My worst grade I think was only an 8. I think.
Oof! I've got a box full of 6s and 7s from WTR stuff.
Oh no, I think
which I honestly just sent in for the simple fact that 30, 40 years from now, hopefully that'll be something anyway, because I just love Flesh and Blood. But that's insanity talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I should send off some Welcome to Wrath. But actually, maybe that's what I'll do in my next one. I've got those, the Singing Steel Blades, actually. But anyway, wait, back to this. Okay, sorry. Too much of a tangent. I want to finish this, this tier list today. All right, timidity point.
That's what I had it at, and you're saying you said riled up.
I think I could go riled up, but I think talking through it, I think I could settle at timidity point.
Okay. Yeah.
I just really love the art of that one, but then realistically, like I was thinking about opening it, and it would. Though I don't know, I do love the foiling in it a lot. The Celestial
it's got
Reprimand.
The EA dyadic carapace, so yeah. I mean, like it has good stuff as long as you pull the Runeblade stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, but I also have like the bad. Well, from my openings, I'll get just as excited with a cool shiny common that I will like a Marvel.
It's honestly a tiny bit annoying whenever you're like, ooh, and I'm like, oh, and it's just fuck Verdance's feet.
Yeah, that's $1. I sold a bunch of those this week. That's big money, all right? I like cards that move. No, but it's not. I mean, Verdance's feet is solid, but the Rainbow Foil Celestial Reprimand is still probably one of my favorite foils for Dustodon.
Celestial Reprimand's good. It's just.
Okay. Now, Bright Lights is probably right behind Everfest for most open for me, with a solid 8 cases.
This thing belongs with its namesake card, Dumpster Dive.
What?
As much as I like Teklevossen, and I think Dash.io is interesting. Okay, being able to the fact that they put top on the hero. I know it's not the same as Sensei's divining top, but you've got like somebody that's just like, oh, I can look at the top card of my deck. It's interesting gameplay, even though I'm pretty sure they're about to bust her in half with the deck. But I'm just not about a single class set. I thought I would like it. I gave it a shot, and it's just so boring. And that's somebody that I love Teklevossen. I think he's cool. I like plenty of the cards, like what's that one, hydraulic something. Anyway, it's just so boring to me to open. I'm not excited about any of the cards except for Singularity, which took you 8 cases to pull.
I mean, it's 1 in 8 case card, and I got it on a case 8, and boy, like, it really reaffirms that EV.
The fact that you pulled it right on the 8th case is hilarious, because that's odds that you can't expect. You could pray for those odds right on the money.
Yeah, I mean, I also got the double Master Cog in the same box, like in. So I really love that. I should try to remember. I think I ended up with 3 Master Cogs before a Singularity. Like, which would be fantastic in a set where the Fable isn't $35, right?
If you pulled 3 of the Rainbow Foil, Fables out of Rosetta, that'd be a different story.
Right, but I don't know.
All they have to do is make Max better. If they make cranking better, you know, then everybody at their armories around the globe can cranking it, crankety, crankety, crank, cranking it, crankety, crank.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I really love the theme of the set. I don't know, like design wise, like that kind of cyberpunky like underbelly. I love this set. There's really no card outside of Big Chungus that I dislike. I find that Big Chungus card design wise, I don't think it makes any sense in the set. That's like it. Like everything else in that set, you don't flows like Bertha. Well. No, not at all. I don't think it fits the theme or anything.
I think I want somebody to make altars of their Berthas and have it be the one of the fembots from Futurama that's like part vending machine or whatever. Because that's what it makes me think of. Is like that big Bertha mech just makes me think of some Futurama robot.
It does, but it doesn't fit in with the rest. And they actually went like really far into like, which I don't know. I think when it first came out, I did not like the fact that it was so like cyberpunky, like futuristic, because it just didn't seem to vibe in the same world as like the Everfest or like dragons or, you know, angels and demons. And then it's like, look at my quantum processor. I'm like, bro, why do you have a quantum processor in the same world as dragons? Like that, it was weird to me. I'm okay with it now. I think it kind of blended it okay, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, supposedly that's like all the like it's only it doesn't work outside of metrics or something, or maybe it only works outside of metrics for as long as you've got Teklo cores to power your stuff or something. They've got some kind of, you know, hand wavy fugazi thing that they are gonna put into the story, but we'll have to wait for a book.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought that, you know, you didn't like the one hero, but I think it's probably like for teaching someone how to play, like being able to draft like a single hero set has got to be amazing. Like I think
that it's I'm gonna go ahead and say that that is an illusion, because it maybe makes people feel better about their mistakes because they don't know that they're making them, is what I would say about drafting Bright Lights. Because you can sit there and say it's easy because it's all the same class, and then I can say, if you don't understand how to evaluate the cards, you're not going to build the deck right anyway. Like, it's a mixed bag, because just because they're all mech doesn't mean that it's all okay for you to draft the same. Like, if you start drafting certain cards, you need to draft other cards to go with those cards. You can't just mishmash whatever you want. And I think that sometimes, like, maybe that is easier or harder to grasp depending on who you are. I don't know.
Yeah, but it also lets you see that, you know, a class isn't locked into a single play type, right? I think it's cool that it really reinforces, you know, not just the same hero can have like 2 or 3 different types of meta decks, but like, you know,
I guess I feel
Max doesn't play the same as like Teklo, right? Like,
it's cool that they did that, and I'm glad that it showcases that different styles of play can exist within the same class or even the same hero, but I'm glad that they have pushed it back to like the Guardian Mastery set, where you're still gonna have 3-pack Kraken play that will work, but you don't need to draft that set. Like, I don't need them to spend their time making an all the same class set. Make a Mastery pack set that everybody plays, you know, 3 packs that, you know, if we're doing the whole it's easy because you can play whatever cards you want, then do the easy version. Don't waste the dev time on something that is only supporting one class. I think that that's a waste of their time for supporting as many people and as many diverse heroes as they can. It feels having a full on draftable set with 4 different mechanologists. It's just, I don't know.
I do think they learned their lesson immediately, because I think Rosetta was probably supposed to be in the same vein. Like, there's a little bit of like,
I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of guessing and like, but I still think Rosetta was originally going to be an all Runeblade set, and then I think internal dev around Bright Lights, they were like, oh, maybe it's too late for this set, but we can't do this again. And then
like I said, I'm fine with the mastery pack. I think that's cool, but I think dedicating dev time to like play testing and developing a set for your general populace has to have more variety than that.
Yeah, I mean, but I also just wonder, like, what else would have fit into, Metric's, like, like, what other, I don't know. I think it would be hard.
I don't think something had to. I don't think something had to. I think they could have made a Metric's mastery set, or they could have just not called it Metric's and had, they go to the Savage Lands and Teklevosson's trying to, like, sunder the land and get some kind of oil out of it or something. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to drink a milkshake. Seems like that kind of guy.
Oh, actually, yeah. Like, I'm picturing like the old timey, or like the British expedition crew off to, the wilds and like
the heart of darkness.
Yeah, their big mustaches and their
Teklevosson's absolutely a colonizer.
yeah, he's a colonizer running through the British lands. Yeah, that would have been. I would have loved that. Take note, James. No,
colonizer Teklevosson.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But make it the young one, and then put Prof in a real interesting position. Like, oh, by the way, Prof, you're a colonizer. Okay, bye. Whoop.
Whoops. You white, you colonizer. All right. So what do you think? I really don't like Riled. But I'll compromise if you like it so much. But I really think it's dumpster.
Oh man. All right. I would compromise at timidity. Actually, we'll just keep it where it's at. Oh man, that's a shame.
Fine. I hate it.
All right.
I love Teklevosson, but the reality of that set and how it is, it's not good.
Not talking about awful sets. Heavy hitters. I think it's probably the most universally reviled set, is it not? Like,
I really don't think that, but is it? What makes you think so? It's reviled?
Just comments online. I don't think anyone I mean, thematically it's cool, but I don't think anyone liked the set. I don't think people like most of the heroes. I mean, I know I know you're certainly biased towards Victor, but like,
well, I like so many characters because they I guess I can see it, because heavy hitters is like, you've got Kasai, that's a fan favorite, but then you've got Betsy, that is just like probably half the people that would even be interested in Flesh and Blood is like, what is Betsy? Some kind of DEI big person? Like, I don't know. But it's like, I think it's cool that they want to just make all kinds of different, like, get weird with it. I mean, if you read the lore that's on their site, like, I can't wait until we go back to the Demonastery and get Steve, who's like some kind of living plant thing, you've got Victor, who's just like the total asshole. He's like a
He's got some Lannister vibes going with him, I think.
exactly. That's where I
Right?
was going. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I like that he's like a Lannister. I think it's cool because it's fun to play the bad guy. Because when you're the bad guy and it's just pretend, you get all the fun of being an asshole that gets his way and treats people how he wants, but it's not real. You're just having fun. And KO armed and dangerous. Number one, I was not expecting that, and it's hilarious. I saw KO armed and dangerous, and I was like, wow, they took the berserker runt who was reckless, and you roll dice as to whether or not you're even going to win the game. The very first armory I ever went to was after Crucible dropped, and I drove out to Ohio to the one place that had an armory, and I played with like 4 other people, and I was playing KO, and I went like 1-3, but it was still fun because the one that I won, I just rolled 6 after 6 after 6 and clobbered them, and it was hilarious. And if you think about a hero that just naturally goes 1-3, but it's it's funny how flavorful to me that they took this hero that's meant to be a meme, and they're like, well, one day he was the meme to the wrong person, got his arm chopped off, and now he has to be serious. And now his ability is no nonsense like Ira. It's +1 every turn.
Yeah, I just think this was another set that wasn't fun to open. I don't know. I did, I think, a case and a half. I had a bunch of loose boxes around, and I just didn't like opening it. I don't know. It was just something about it. There were.
Well, we've got the new Command and Conquer in that set. We've got the weakest link in there, right? Or no, the weakest link is it Misfail? I gotta look that up.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's Misfail. My bad.
I don't want to say. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to say I felt like the card design in this set was lazy, but it did. Oh, I don't know. I'll just pop that out there. I don't know. Like,
I like all the new things that they had not made very many cards that had the discard this ability yet, and they started doing that in heavy hitters. Maybe there's a couple of cards that already existed that had something like that, but making the agility token on discard, that's awesome. Like, I like a lot of this design space that they did. I like the throwback to Welcome to Wraith, and I've seen a lot of people, like, I know you said that you've seen comments, people hating the set, but when we're talking about drafting and stuff, I've seen comments of people that say that they like drafting heavy hitters better than they like drafting WTR. And as somebody that's drafted a lot of WTR, I call shenanigans on that. I really love the WTR, but heavy hitters I thought was still pretty fun to draft.
I don't know. I like, card design wise, I never really liked the idea of just having 3 of the same color. Of the same card. I always thought that, I mean, even from early on, I was like, this is kind of like lazy. But then they started like straying from that, right? And they at least gave them different names. And Bright Lights is a great example of that, right? You've got like the blue protocol, the red protocol, the different, there's different scripts that are still basically the 3 colors, but they have different names and different art. And I think that every set they're doing more of that, right? Because just it just doesn't make sense to have 3 colors of a lot of cards, because frankly a lot of those yellow cards just ain't gonna see the light of day ever again. And so, like, having one specific
I don't hate
red, yeah, it's just, I don't know, I don't necessarily like it. And then when they do things like what was it? Was it Need for Speed, Need for Heart, or like was it Need for Speed, Need for Heart, Need for Power, or whatever. Like they did that with like lead with heart. Oh yeah, lead with speed, lead with power, lead with heart. Then they did all three colors of all of those, and then they did like another. I think they did 3 different cards that were all with like something with heart, something with like speed, something with like power.
Oh, I get what you're taking issue with. Basically, they had like a template between the classes that they used. That it was like, okay, heart is the combination for warrior and guardian, and speed is the combination for warrior and brute, and or maybe I've got one of those mixed up, but it's not that important. I think I get the gist of what annoys you about it, and it feels kind of like, now that you mention it, it does seem like maybe a little bit too much of a copy paste, Control F and replace, you know?
Right, because I mean, right there is 27 cards, right? Like it's a huge chunk of the set that just feels copy paste, and I don't know.
I find that pretty hard to argue with. That's a decent point.
Yeah, I don't know. And that was the first time that it just felt egregious to me, I think. Because like you said, like if the heart, or you know, was specifically for one type, you knew what color was going to go in the deck. You didn't have to do all 3 colors. Realistically, you could have very easily done like a 1 color. And then I don't know. So this is something that always sticks out to me, because you know because even we're gonna go back to bright lights, because I like that. I feel like bright lights was the absolute right direction in that kind of stuff, because then you look at like penetration scripts are only, actually I think penetration scripts are only yellow, but like the security scripts I think were like blue. But
to be fair, items have a long history of only being in 1 color.
Yeah. But then there's like blue protocol, red protocol, yellow protocol. I don't know, just give some more flavor to it. Like it doesn't hurt. I mean, well,
they went back to that in Mistveil with the mind, body, and soul.
They did. And they did. I think I think Mistveil saw the disgrace that was Heavy Hitter. Because that Mistveil is like that perfect blend of like the ingenuity of like, or you know, making everything a little different, like bright lights, and then you can still have like the copy paste and like they have in Heavy Hitters, but you can do it right. And Mistveil, well, we'll get to Mistveil. I
want us to be on the same page for these last 2, and I think we are.
Yeah, but okay, so before we get to Mistveil, as we're seeing its graces, I can't remember where I said Heavy Hitters. The more we talk about it, the more I want to put it in Shred, actually. I don't know where I originally put it. I think it's actually just the worst. I think I hate it more than Outsiders now.
I can't let you put it lower than Bright Lights, because if I'm being honest with you, if we're going to say that, like, you know, where they realized they made some mistakes was Bright Lights, and maybe they fixed a little bit but didn't quite there for Heavy Hitters. Like, I like Heavy Hitters so much better than Bright Lights, and you seem to really love Bright Lights, and I really hated it, and you really hate Heavy Hitters, but I kind of like it. I don't think it's a riled up. I had it out of the life of a party just because I like it. I think that there's lots of Marvel heroes that you can pull out of it. I mean, maybe the value's not there. I've never done the EV spread on it or anything, but I like the set, and I just refuse to be part of a tier list where it is lower than Bright Lights. So if you put Heavy Hitters further down, Bright Lights has to move with it.
No, that's gross. I don't like that. No. Jeez. No, I just don't know in what world Heavy Hitters could be worse than Bright Lights.
I think you meant to say the opposite of that, but I'll take that as a win.
No. I mean, Heavy Hitters it's just. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, I didn't mean that. I mean, no. In what world is it worse than? I don't know. It's just not a good set. I don't know. Like,
I think it's a better set than Bright Lights. And
everything. It just feels like a full regression from Bright Lights. Like,
hard disagree. I just don't even know. From playing both of those sets, like, I know you're saying that it's like, oh, it's easier to draft because it's all the same class. I think heavy hitters is easier to draft than bright lights because you kind of like all that stuff that you hate that's like lead with speed, lead with heart is like pretty on the nose for drafters so that they know they're like, oh well, I'm going into warrior cards, I'm gonna grab speed and I'm gonna, it,
I don't know. Yeah, it just felt like they took a break. They're like, you know what? We're just not going to think this set. We'll just make this.
I refuse. I just can't. I can't let you put it lower than bright lights. I can't let you put it lower than bright lights.
All right, and then I guess it's living at timidity point.
Yeah, because we could put. I'd be okay if you put bright lights and heavy hitters in the dumpster.
No way, because bright lights should realistically be life of the party, if not, yeah, easily life of the party. But
I had heavy hitters at life of the party as well. So if you put them both in life of the party, you either put them both in life of the party, both in timidity point, or both in dumpster dive.
They're living at timidity point because I can't live in a world where heavy hitters is higher than this. This is disgusting.
All right. Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree and put it at timidity point.
All right, now this is going to be interesting.
I think we might be able to call peace for the Warmonger's recital, or Warmonger's diplomacy. I mean,
yeah. So here's where I'm slightly torn.
I'm riled up about Miss Vale.
I think originally I was riled up,
but then you didn't want to agree with me.
No. I was going to say, I think before Rosetta came out, I would have... Well, I guess it could be different degrees. Because in my eyes...
They can both be good. They could both be good.
Yeah, but I think one pointed out the flaws of the other, I think, in my eyes.
No.
But...
Nar.
But then I look at the crap in Life of the Party, and I'm like...
It's better than everything in Life of the Party.
It is better.
For that reason alone, it needs to be in Riled Up.
Yeah, that's the only reason. I mean, I could see like the top of Life of the Party, bottom Riled Up. But
listen, we can't be a Flesh and Blood podcast and not have more than one set in the best tier. And I know that both of these sets deserve to be in this tier. For as long as I've been playing this damn game, Mistvale into Rosetta has been two of the best sets in a row ever. I was excited for Mistvale, and then Rosetta popped the hell off too.
I know. Mistvale is just a gorgeous set. Like, thematically, I still don't think it necessarily makes sense because it seems really more actually Chinese inspired, even though they went for a Japanese theme. So
yeah, but the whole story is that they are in Mysteria, which is, the hidden village or whatever. Like they're isolated, right?
Right, which is a very Japanese style art thing, but they're leaning heavily in the cultivate. I mean, it's not a downside. It's just, it was something that irked me as someone who's like really
it's not real life. It's Wraith, so they're taking from both to make their own thing.
Yes, and then the Chinese and the Japanese, I'm sure, are happy with everyone just merging or mixing up their cultures completely. I don't know
if you know this about white people, but we appropriate things pretty easy.
We appropriate super easy. I don't know, I feel like that would have it probably would have been a big misstep. I don't know how big it is in China, but I feel like
I think the fact that they don't call it Chinese and Japanese makes all the difference. They're not trying to say that it is. It's just inspired.
But thematically, I don't know. It's very cultivation and Chinese. Like, everything in the heroes is all very Chinese, but then they use Japanese words to try and describe it instead, which is just always been a weird thing for me with this set. That's it. That's the only downside. There's literally nothing else. Oh, well, I just shouldn't say that. The Zen race to living legend was probably the biggest misstep in design space in ever. I don't
Yeah,
know. Since like Briar, maybe like
considering classic constructed, they fucked up, right?
yeah,
It's a real bad. But limited was pretty fun. I still thought they messed up the classic constructed. Bonds of Ancestry went wild, and so did Art of War. In addition to, you can't have Art of War in a world where you've got two pieces of equipment giving you two extra cards. One or the other had to go, and they weren't going to ban both the equipments out of Part the Mistveil. I think I do find it kind of strange the way that he talks about how the game has gotten away from his vision because of all the drawing. But like, y'all kind of sleptwalk into that then, because you've been printing draw books for a while now. So I'm not really sure if they just didn't, were they the frog in the boiling water? They just didn't, you know what I mean? But
yeah, because I think this had two out of band. Well, I'm going to use band in multiple ways here. Out of band announcements, right? Like in two emergency bans. Like, 'cause I don't think Bonds of Agony.
Second one.
I think they're both
Bonds
for
of
Bonds.
Ancestry. No. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Because they banned it blue and yellow first, and then they banned the red and Art of War and everything else.
Yeah, outside of the normal ban schedule, which isn't good, right? Like, if you have to make two emergency ban announcements, that was kind of on the downside. But
they were pretty self-flagellant about that.
They were. I feel bad listening to James talk about how bad it made him feel. I'm like, oh my gosh, James, please be gentle with yourself.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
No, they really took it poorly, which is great to see, I think. I mean, well, you don't want to see these guys upset, but like the fact that they're that passionate and that
I'd rather see them upset about it than anything else. Yeah. It's not like they should be proud of it.
Right. Yeah. So
I'm glad they take risks, but you gotta take the L when you take the L.
And we're saying all these negative things about this because really this has nothing to do with how much fun it was to open. Because when it came to how fun this set was to open, boy, was it fun to open. I don't know. Well, like the hunt for the golden packs were actually really fun.
Have you found one? I haven't found one.
Not a single one. It's supposed to be 1 in 4 cases. I actually only opened 3 cases, so I didn't open up the 4th case that would obviously have the gold pack that I need. But the EV twisted on this one pretty. Like, once Zen blew up, like, it just wasn't worth it. Like, the value of those cases stayed up too high. The value of the boxes kind of dropped out.
With the banning, I think that you need to redo the EV, because this is one that I thought was crazy, because I just had no idea. But, like, the weakest link is $60 out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting... This was one of the first sets that brought everyone back, right? Like, to bring it back to the positives, like, we were looking at trending. We were looking at, print runs of the last 3 sets, which were all stinkers, realistically. Like the demand was down, the interest was plummeting, no one was really playing as much. It wasn't in a good spot until Part of the Mistveil showed up, and I think it completely flipped the entire community upside down and really made people excited to play again. People were talking about it again. The subreddit got more active again. I couldn't tell you the last time. Like, people were actually putting like card opening information up again, right? Like, the reason most of my EVs exist to this point was because so many people were opening up 20, 30 cases of Mistveil at a time and then documenting it. And then, with that, you can compile it all down and then actually get realistic pull numbers for some of these Marvels and stuff, which on prior sets you just were kind of guessing at. There's really no good way to know. But the interest was there. Card shops were finding and seeing the interest. Card shops were taking that gamble of opening the 2030 cases. And it was huge. I don't know. It breathed so, or I don't know, breathed so much life back into everything.
All these marbles are holding up really well too. Because, like, if you look at the rare marbles from the well, I mean, I guess the dragons are all banned now, but they're like $20. But then you look at like Passover or Stir the Pot, and they're practically $50 marbles, and these are commons.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased because I got real lucky. With my marvels, I don't know. I think even even the common marvels were still, like you said, $40-$50. Which,
well, yeah, all the best ones are like so simple. Like Stir the Pot is the most expensive. Well, actually, no, it looks like Passover is slightly more, but Stir the Pot's got my favorite art on it because of the cat, and you know it's $50. It's a common,
Yeah.
and this is the same type of thing where you're like complaining about like the cold foil healing potions only $9 or whatever, even after the pop off, and then we've got Marvel Stir the Pot common here for $50. So I mean, what does that tell you about the people that want to play Enigma and New? They're willing to pay for those cards, because even though Zen got banned and you can look 12 Petal Kaseya down to $8 for the rainbow foil, but didn't seem to have any effect on any of these Marvel Transcend cards.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, and with as much of a misstep that Zen was, I think everyone initially was super excited. Enigma and New, everyone was hyped about beforehand, and I kind of like the idea. Like the three were kind of like a counterbalance to each other initially, though. Zen blew up, but I think there's also a bit of power creep in this set, where like Enigma and New were just better, right? Like,
can I just say though, before we go any further with this conversation, in general, I think the word power creep is overused, and I sort of hate it, because I don't think that it's possible to make a game worth playing set after set without a little bit of the sprinkle of power creep. Who wants to buy shit that is weaker than what you already have? Why are you buying?
Well, I mean, you don't want to necessarily make it. I think there's a difference between like a balanced one. I mean, you don't want worse heroes, which, I mean, arguably, I think in the last few sets we got just a lot of awful heroes to play, right?
Follow me logically here. You ideally want your new heroes to come out and compete. You don't want them to be awful, and you don't want them to be amazing, because you don't want to skew the meta or have them be worthless. So you take your shot and you say, these are the cards, but then some of them skew weaker and some of them skew stronger, and then people play the ones that skew a little bit stronger, and then that happens set after set after set. It happens. Like Codex of Frailty in Outsiders was a noticeable area of power creep, where they said, this is the peak of like power that we want to put in a single card, and we want to do that because we want to say that an assassin or a ranger is going to have these powerful swing turns off the back of Codex of Frailty, and they use that kind of logic to make other cards. And like I said, sometimes you miss, sometimes you hit, and I just don't think that it is possible to build and have a TCG without some sort of power creep. I think no matter what, if you are doing a good job, some nitpicker out there is going to be able to say, oh, that's power creep. And they're not going to be wrong, but they are being annoying.
I think there's different types of power creep though. Like Dev Talk 9, they discuss the idea of when they have a new set, they want all the new heroes, they want to see them in the top eights, like, or top eighting. Which,
and you're not doing that by making bad cards.
Well, yeah, but there's a difference between like having all your heroes being in the top 8 versus all of your new 3 heroes being the top 8 for the next like month and a half to 2 months, which is what happened with Part of the Misfail.
Yeah, like obviously, right. I mean, we keep kind of going back to like that single mistake. But I mean, if we look at today, the last week, the ProQuest London, Enigma is still the number 1. So, but and then Aurora's number 2. So we're looking 2 sets ago, and then the newest set, and then Viserai is like the new stuff that they put out for Rune Blades made Viserai, the oldest Rune Blade, relevant again. And then we've got Florian new, and then the next one outside of the new heroes, Azalea, as old as Viserai. And then we've still got Zen even after all of his bans.
Yeah. Well, and that's where, okay, let's move on to Rosetta here. We've talked a lot about that. Because, I mean, I think it's easy.
I'm riled up about Rosetta too, because it's even better than Mistveil.
Like, I know we weren't doing order, but like, yeah, it's easily the best set that's probably ever come. Now, when we're going to talk, that the natural power creep, right? I think Rosetta. So when I think power creep and Mistveil, it was just like those 3 heroes were it, right? That was just what everyone played. But for the power creep in Rosetta, right, I think it's a healthier level of power creep where you're not elevating individual heroes, you're elevating entire like classes, right? Like the Runeblade cards weren't just to make Aurora the number 1 card in the entire game. It breathed life into all the Rune Blades, right? We got Vincent up there, we got Viserai up there, we got Aurora up there, like everyone's up there, and we're now getting this. I mean, well, I don't know if having most of them being Rune Blades is the best, but for a set that's half Rune Blades, like I like the idea of breathing life into old Rune Blades and giving them those chances to come up to like Living Legend or get back into the top 8.
Just to defend Mistveil a little bit on this point, because I think that you're 100% right. That Rosetta is maybe a bit of a healthier power creep in that sense, but I think that the next time they go back and revisit the Mistveil talents, then that type of thing could happen on that second time. I think the fact that they brought out a whole new talent that was specifically just in that box, and all 3 heroes revolved around Mystic instead of their own class, I think that sort of made it a little bit of an incestuous set that was sort of like maybe a little overpowered by itself. But once we see further context with maybe another set out, we'll see even less enigmas, hopefully.
Yeah, but I just don't, because I don't think we saw that. Well, yeah, because I think the only other set that would have had that problem would have been Uprising with Draconic, right? Yeah, which was it this bad though?
Well, I mean, so Phi immediately was very good, and so was Dromai. I mean, I think that it's, aside from Zen being busted, that it's very similar to how Uprising was, because Phi and Dromai were both very playable right out the gate. And Icelander was too.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, Rosetta, I mean, I think Mistveil was the turning point for modern Flesh and Blood that kind of indicated the community is, back on board with everything. because I think what also happened, what else coincided with Mistvale, not even related to the set, was the expansion of like the Pro Tour, the quest, like to more countries. They didn't they like almost triple the number of events like globally that when Mistvale came out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for as stagnant as the U.S. feels, they're always talking about globally, and I love it because I really that's as long as the company is still going, I really don't care how it grows. I know that eventually it'll come back around to the U.S.
Yeah, because I think we like in the US have like a view of like, oh well, Magic's top dog, and then there's Pokemon, and then there's Yu-Gi-Oh too, and then in reality you look at the world and like Magic is such a small part, and Yu-Gi-Oh is like the top dog by a significant margin. And
Well, maybe I'll
so
catch some
like,
flack here, but if we're talking about games that take skill, Yu-Gi-Oh is very much up there as well, and I think that is why it's more on a global scale. Because I mean, if we're talking about how this game works, it's a lot closer to Yu-Gi-Oh than it is to Magic, in my opinion. Especially when you talk about the amount of brain cells you got to burn to make your deck work.
yeah, and so I don't know. I don't know. I guess this is Flesh and Blood is the first game. Like, I mean, I know about Yu-Gi-Oh being big or whatever, but I don't know. When it comes to Flesh and Blood, it being international is I think just part of the lifeblood of it too, right? Like, I don't know. I'm more interested in seeing tournament results in London, in France, in Tokyo. Like, I like
Certainly more
seeing it grow.
exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely more exciting. And I don't know. It almost feels more like the Olympics, right? Like watching
Yeah.
like all the nationals and then like the worlds, and like it's exciting to watch. I think it does that in a way that Magic used to be, but then they totally got rid of all of it. And
Well, that's the funniest part is that
yeah,
I feel like LSS knew that it was good, and whenever Magic was like, "Well, we don't need to do this," they were just like, "Yoink."
yeah. But I mean, timing wise, it was just perfect. Like Mistveil being that fresh breath at the same time they expanded globally even more. I mean, they've always been global to a degree, but I mean, they rapidly expanded. And then with Rosetta, they started the expansion into Latin America more. Like they announced Mexico, the partnerships. Even though I think all those partners for Mexico are actually based out of Orlando, Florida, but they're starting the distribution down into Latin America, and then I think the next point where things really start to pop off for Flesh and Blood is Brazil, right? Like Brazil, Colombia. Like Colombia is a notoriously a heavy Yu-Gi-Oh country. Magic's basically unheard of there. Like huge Yu-Gi-Oh events. And Brazil has a huge Flesh and Blood community, even though it doesn't really have like, I think they have the battle. I think there was a battle hardened, but not like the Pro Quests or Pro Tour stuff there yet. Which they're all begging for. But I mean, I think I was just reading right before this. A bunch of people from Brazil are flying to Osaka. Like, it's like people like it's got a huge dedicated fan base. They're taking it very seriously. I think Mexico is the foray down into to South America to really take that market, and then at that point I think maybe the game blows up into more of a hopefully household name than what it currently is. So, and they just couldn't have picked two better sets to do it with, like Misfail and Rosetta. Like, here's hoping the next set is even if the next set is even half of what Rosetta is, it'll be.
Well,
Major,
I gotta throw some more tinfoil out there, because we were already talking about Draconic maybe being the next thing if they wanted to make a limited set, and they've got those 3 ashes. They could center the new Drome Eyes gameplay around those 3 dragons for limited, so that it's not too I don't think they'll reprint all the dragons, but how it would make so much sense. It would be very pleasing to me to be able to come back to this and put a red box up there and Riled up to go blue, green, red.
Right. Yeah.
And then if they give me the red box for the next Draconic set for these 3 in a row, that would be very pleasing to me.
Yeah. Oh man.
We didn't even talk that much about the cards in Rosetta, and can I just say that if we're talking about reprints, I gotta go back and say how much I love the Rosetta Thorn reprint. They had to put the namesake in there, and they brought in Carlos Cruchaga to illustrate the back of that sucker, and it is amazing.
And the I'm like, I love the value cards. I mean, no set has ever held the value like this. I mean, we're about a month in at this point.
It always crashes, and it hasn't.
Yeah, it usually crashes within weeks. Like, part of the Mistveil crashed out, I think, within 2 weeks. Like, it was within 2 weeks. And we're a month in, and not only are there... I thought
Crown is still going up.
Yeah, well, yeah. Not only that, but I was like, 10 cards over $100 just isn't sustainable.
And then there was 11.
Yeah, and then there's more. Like, holy crap. Like, this is crazy to watch. Now, I don't know how sustainable that is with the case prices right now. So
how
that'll
much
be
of
interesting.
This do you think is them controlling the flow with their Chicago warehouse?
I don't know, because I mean, there is no shortage of cases. You can buy cases. You can buy a lot of cases. There's a lot of people with a lot on the markets right now, but the prices are just going up still. Even with the quantity of available cases, the Rosetta case prices are high. Though I guess I would say
deservedly.
Yeah, I would say the Mistveil cases are high too, but undeservedly. I don't know if it's just that being propped up by the gold packs, but
I do have to buy an EA mask out of Mistveil. That EA mask only being like $50-$60.
Yeah. But no, Rosetta is just amazing to open. It's so much fun to open. Because even cards you're like, oh, is this Majestic? I've never even heard of this Majestic. Is this even still good? Still a $10 card. You're like, how? How are so many?
Destructive Aethertide, or maybe the Unsheathed.
Yeah, those Unsheathed, they sell. I don't know why I'm still surprised by Unsheathed, because I just keep opening them. I've been getting like 2 a case, and they just sell immediately.
Kasai mains.
Oh yeah.
That is one thing that I truly love. One of the best parts about the Flesh and Blood community is that with this wide amount of heroes, like whenever I first got into this game and there was only like 8 adult heroes and like the special young heroes, I was like, I was immediately like, I felt like I got the vision, and I was like, one day this is going to be like League of Legends, and there's going to be so many heroes, and it's going to be freaking amazing, and it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly shocked. Like, every week that like the Pro Tour recap happens, and I just see like 10, 12 heroes with multiple I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I never would have thought, 2 years ago that it would remain as diverse and people would be playing as many heroes as they are. I really thought people would chase, just the meta more than they currently actually do. But
and that's the funniest part about it, is that you say people chase the meta, and from what I'm looking at right here, ProQuest Classic constructed wins 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 heroes had more than one win that meant more than one person was able to best everyone else with that hero. That is the widest. How is the meta that wide?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's like the health, right? That's what you want to see. And I just never would have anticipated it. I feel like it's too easy for people to just like download a deck, throw $1,000 at it, and like, oh, I'm gonna be fantastic. Nah, it doesn't work like that. People are playing heroes they like. People grow it. I love the fact that people grow attached to not just heroes, but even like whole classes. Like,
yeah, I mean, if you're out there and you want to play whatever you want, you pick up a hero and you keep playing it and you keep putting reps on it, and you play like just some random person that you play at your normal armory or whoever on Talishar. After a certain point, you'll start getting wins no matter what hero you're playing, because people aren't pro at this game unless they are, and and until if you figure out this game, until you start getting against other people that are at that level of the game, you can win with whatever hero, with whatever cards. You can absolutely win without command and conquers, as long as you're not talking about the top tiers. It's very likely go into your armory, you're going to play people who aren't pros, and they will lose to you if you know how to play the game.
Yeah, and it's just practice, like learning your matchups and play. And actually, I think the one final note I wanted to make about back to the 5th anniversary video was, they're asking James, like, who's your favorite competitive player? Who's your favorite underdog player? And the fact that he's like, oh, easily, and he's just dropping names. I'm like, man, imagine asking the head of like Wizards of the Coast who their favorite competitive Magic player is.
Yeah, what a joke that is.
Right? Like, they're just not...
You're better off asking him what his favorite penny stock is.
Yeah, right? So, I don't know. I just love, like, how important the competitive scene is and how involved with it, like, James is. And he watches it. He knows, the who's who in the scene, and it's really cool that he's that involved. I really appreciate it.
As fans of the game, we couldn't ask for anyone better than him to be at the head. I don't think it's been crazy watching this game. It's been awesome. I can't say enough good things.
All right, and with that, I think we got to wrap this up. We've completed our tier list. Maybe I'll tweet it out here.
Only 36 minutes past.
Which is fine. Well, we don't have a hard limit. Yeah, but so no, I knew this was going to be
YouTube anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in for this Riled Up. I'll be doing a Pokemon opening tomorrow at 1 p.m. if you want to watch some Pokemon opening. Metazoo next week. Not sure what day yet, but check the socials. Next week, Riled Up will be on a Thursday. Because
I've got a day early.
Yeah, we're so riled up after this tier list. We're coming back in 6 days. No, I've got some friends flying in, so we'll be doing with that Friday. So yeah, we'll be meeting Thursday. So check the socials. Schedule will be out this weekend. Put it on your calendar, however you keep track of these things. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up on any of the socials. Like, comment, subscribe if you like the stream. If you're, we're streaming here on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube, so feel free. Leave a comment on the VODs. We read them. So, any final words?
Later, everyone.
Well,
enjoy your Wild Up.
All right, catch y'all later.